God's people said,
Amen.
Well, so let me get my mouth in gear. Let's wind back to last week when we began looking at the book of Samuel. We're going to stay in Samuel for another couple of weeks. And you remember last week we met the young child Samuel. Samuel had been entrusted to the temple priest Eli to mentor him and to help teach him as a young person. So Samuel's asleep and he hears this voice, Samuel, Samuel, and he thinks it's Eli, his mentor, so he goes in and runs to Eli. Yes, you've called me. Eli says, no, I didn't call you, go lie back down. Again, the voice comes and he runs back to Eli. You remember this, it happens again and again, and finally Eli realizes what's happening. He says, Samuel, go lie down, and if the voice calls you again, say, speak, Lord, your servant is listening. So that happens. Samuel responds appropriately, and this prophetic message is delivered to Samuel. And it's a tough message, isn't it? It's a message that then Eli says, tell me what you learned, tell me what you heard. But it's a message of confrontation to Eli. Eli is aging, and his children, his sons, have become corrupt. And so it's a message of judgment and the reminder that the future is not going to go well unless God's people respond to God's message. So now we'll fast forward, and Samuel is in that leadership role as the temple priest, bearing that prophetic message, continuing to hear and interpret for God's people what God hopes for them to hear and to learn. And the message is, again, a hard message. Now, ironically, Samuel's in the same position. He's got these rotten kids. And the people are saying, hey, this can't go on. So, because you're getting older and your kids are no good, the system's broken. And really, when we look around, we want what those other guys have. So bring us a king. And Samuel, as we can imagine, is rather heartbroken, right? He's disappointed because he feels like this is a rejection of himself, that the people are turning against him. So he goes to God, being a faithful man in prayer, and says, Lord, what should I do? God says, look, Samuel, this isn't about you. This is really about me and my relationship with my people. And look, over the generations, this is not new. My people have been looking for a different way all along. And this is true, isn't it? Look, friends, are we not in the same position today? We are constantly looking for leadership. We are constantly looking for someone to give us a simple answer. Maybe even to do the hard work for us. So Samuel, in his conversation with God, learns that God is willing to put God's self in check, to limit what God does. And God, as many parents have found themselves in this position, I'm certain, can see the impending disaster, right? Parents have been in this place where I don't care what the situation is. A kid's hanging on the shower curtain bar, monkeying around. Your two kids are getting into a tussle. There's clearly not going to be a good end. And so we say, stop, don't do that. Think about it, see what's going to happen. But what happens? The hard lessons must be learned. And so God says to Samuel, look, let it be. Let them experience this hard lesson. Now Samuel's very clear with the people, look friends, here are all the things that are going to happen. So why are we upset when exactly those things happen? So leadership? Will it be a prophet, a teacher, a rabbi, a preacher? Will it be a governor, a president, a king? Who is it that will bring us the message that guides our lives for good? Now, what is a prophet? We don't use this language in our vernacular. We don't talk about a prophetic word. When we talk about prophecy, often we think about the more mystical side of that, the seer, the prognosticator, one who's going to see and reveal the future. Now, sometimes that's clear, as it was with Samuel, sometimes not so clear. But the prophet, the prophetic one who delivers a prophetic message, is the one who points to where God is at work. And we've seen that happen. The prophet also is the one who reminds us that where things are falling apart, where consequences are unfolding that are not of God, we are absent. We are far away, removed from God's Spirit. The prophet points to where God is at work. We've seen and heard prophetic voices delivered through the ages, have we not? You can think of prophets that have led us, pointed us, directed us to places where God has been at work. Who are they? Martin Luther King Jr. Aiden? Is that what you were going to say? Yeah?
Sorry.
Sister Teresa? Mother Teresa? Billy Graham? Gandhi? And then there was this woman in a church that I was visiting who sat down with her two children that were clearly interested in being almost any place else except at church. So about a 5-year-old and about an 8-year-old. The 8-year-old little girl kind of pulled herself together, recognizing that this was indeed going to be her fate, so she may as well make the best of it. But the 5-year-old was having nothing to do with it. He sat down, he crossed his arms, he put out his lip, he was just not going to participate in this in any way. And that prophetic mom turned around and said to her son, "Son, you're in church. Fix your face." Fix your face. It's a season of prophecy. It's a season of prophetic messages. Just now, did you realize that? Graduation season provides prophetic words through so many commencement speeches. And I listened to one just the other day, delivered to the Annenberg School of Communications and Journalism at USC. And the one who delivered the message was none other than the prophet Oprah Winfrey. And she was speaking to this group of kids that she reminded, without using quite this language, but she reminded them that in many cases they are going to be put on that prophetic platform. That people, the world, you and I, are going to look to those young men and women to interpret the world for us, to help us understand who we are and how we are to live together. We hand that over to them, don't we? We turn that over to journalists, to the media. I don't care whether you're listening to CNN or Fox News or MSNBC, whether you're reading the New York Times or Wall Street Journal or the Naples Daily News. By the way, I almost forgot that. Naples Daily News this morning, sculpted head of biblical king found in Israel. No extra charge. So we turn over our ability to reason, to discern where the prophetic word is taking us. Who is delivering that prophetic word? Where is God at work? We turn it over to the media and allow them to translate for us. Is that okay? That's not okay with me. That is not okay with me. And Oprah tells these kids, be careful. You have a sacred task in your hands. She says to them, too, that she believes, I don't disagree, that the greatest danger that we face today is cynicism. That cynicism has been allowed to take root in our hearts and in our lives and is driving us to destruction. That every time that we hear or say, I don't care, so what, it doesn't matter, we are handing our lives over. That in doing that, this cynicism is clouding our clarity. It's compromising our integrity. It's lowering our standards, choking our empathy, and my friends, day by day, it's stealing our faith. What are you going to do? We want a king. We want somebody else to do the work. We want somebody else to fight our battles. Oprah goes on and she says to these kids, look, pick a problem. There are many out there. Choose it. Climate change, sea level rise, affordable housing, injustice, women's education, equality. Pick a problem and give yourself over to it. Prophetic message, prophetic words are meaningless unless they're followed by prophetic action. Did you hear Dominique? Could have all gone home. As many Sundays, the message that she delivers to those kids is exactly what we need to hear. A prophetic message is worthless without prophetic action. For me, one of the prophets in my life and in my world was the figure of Millard Fuller. Millard Fuller is the founder of Habitat for Humanity, and after living large, becoming a millionaire by the time he was 30, recognizing that his relationships had been sacrificed, his family was broken, his wife was leaving him, that there was a different way, that he had missed what God was calling him to do. So he and his wife Linda prayed and discerned what that might be. And working then to build relationships, to bring together women and men of faith, the business community, the church community, to build and rehabilitate housing so that all God's children might have at least a simple and decent place to live. He did this through what he called the theology of the hammer, where people could come together regardless of their faith. People of great faith, people of little faith or no faith at all, people of import or importance, CEOs, or people who had menial jobs or no jobs at all. But all could come together to circle around the most basic provision of all human needs, that of shelter. That has compelled me to move into this ministry and to be in a place where, too, I can participate in what I believe is God's work in action. At the conference, we had the privilege of hearing some great preaching, and one of those sermons was delivered on Friday night by the bishop of the Western Ohio Conference, Gregory Palmer. And Gregory Palmer began by asking this question: who are you? Who are you? Who am I, and who are we together? The answer is, of course, that we are all children of God. That we are all children of God. Now, we talk about this all the time. We can say this, oh yes, we're all we know that scripture about being adopted into the family, co-heirs with Christ of the kingdom. This is not unfamiliar language. We're okay with that. But wait. Gregory Palmer says, if that is not true, if there are some that are children of God, can there be others that are not? No. Either we are all the beloved children of God, or none of us are the children of God. So often, as we work and walk and participate in our lives, we are making judgment calls. Who's in, who's out, who's like me, who's not, who's going to hurt me. We move out of a place of fear and insecurity, and we say, we need a king. We need somebody else to fight our battles. I had a terribly disappointing moment this week, even with the highs of being at annual conference. It came on Monday night when, as a part of the planning and zoning process, every time we build a new neighborhood, we have a neighborhood information meeting. And in that meeting, those in the vicinity of where the new Habitat neighborhood is going to be are invited to come and to hear about the plans, to see the site plan, to have conversation about the neighborhood, and to participate together. We had a similar meeting here at Cornerstone the same night as folks were sharing the vision for the development of Rural Lands West. And some of you may have attended that. But this meeting on Monday night about this Habitat community was shocking to me. We gathered together in a church, not unlike this. We began with a word of prayer, and what ensued was the vitriol of about 200 people who, person after person, stood up to say, we don't want that kind here. We don't want poor people here. Bishop Palmer said, if I am to describe who I am as a child of God, and if I determine my own sense of worth and value at the expense of another's humanity, I am no child of God. Amen. Who is leading us into the future? To whom are we looking to deliver the message to point to where God is at work? The reality is that over the last 5,000 years, that when people of faith take action, governments move. Philanthropy goes to work. The marketplace responds. It makes a difference. It makes a difference. So, what are we to do, church? We come here every Sunday. We hear the message, we pray together, we sing together, we practice sharing signs of peace and reconciliation. Remember, that's just a dress rehearsal. Truly, we don't have a beef with each other, most of us. Right? But we practice what it means to extend the hand of friendship, to share handshakes and hugs, so that when we go out into the world where it's a little harder, we'll be more confident. We'll be ready to extend that hand of friendship. We practice here. But for me, I'm going to tell you in the confessional, By the time I stop at Publix and get home, I've forgotten. I've forgotten what it is that I need to do. I've forgotten that it is up to me to make sure that everybody I meet knows that they are a valued, precious child of God. My brother, my sister. Jesus is caught here and put into the spotlight to say, your mother, your brothers, your sisters are here. And he responds and he says, wait a minute, friends. I am changing relationships everywhere because we haven't gotten it quite right. The reality is anyone who does the will of God is my brother, is my sister, is my mother. We are all tied into this together. If there is no peace, it is because we have forgotten that we belong to each other. There are enough problems out there for us to tackle. We don't need to create any new problems. But if we don't do something, if the prophetic word is not followed by prophetic action, we are hopeless. And so, Bishop Palmer concludes his time with us saying this: straighten up your back, fix your face. He didn't say that, I just put it in. Fix your face, screw up your courage, and be the church.
Amen.
In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the